I've been with my wife for 25 years minus 25 incredible years of marriage, filled with love, laughter, and understanding. Honestly, my whole life has revolved around one thing: earning a living. First, it was all for the kids, then to secure a cozy retirement for us both. Olivia, my wife, never worked a traditional job. She poured her energy into keeping our home running like clockwork. Every evening, she'd welcome me with a warm meal and her tender smile. But time has a way of changing things. The kids grew up, spread their wings and flew the nest, leaving just Olivia and me in the quiet house. One night, I came home late as usual. The moment I stepped inside, I could tell something was off. The house was silent, dark. No dinner on the table, no Olivia in sight. What's going on here? Where's she run off to? I wondered, the unease already creeping in. Instinctively, I grabbed my phone to call her. Straight to voicemail. Great. Panic set in. I tried calling her closest friends, Lucy and Jonna, thinking maybe they'd have answers. But no, both said they hadn't heard from her in days. At this point, I was spiraling. My thoughts were racing, imagining the worst. Did something happen to her? Could she be in danger? I spent the next few hours pacing, calling everyone I could think of. Our kids, our family, even the local hospitals. Nothing. It was like she'd vanished into thin air. Then, just as I was about to lose my mind, I heard it. The click of the front door unlocking. I glanced at the clock. 1 a.m. Olivia, I blurted, relief and anger clashing in my voice. Don't you think I deserve an explanation? Where on earth have you been? She stepped inside, calm as could be, and blinked at me innocently. What do you mean? I was at Lucy's. We were celebrating our friendship anniversary. I told you about it, remember? My jaw nearly hit the floor. Anniversary. Olivia, I called Lucy. She said she hasn't even spoken to you lately. Her expression hardened, her tone sharpening to match mine. Oh, come on. You don't know Lucy. She's always joking around. Fine, if you don't believe me, I'll call her myself right now. I threw my hands up in surrender. No, forget it. Let's drop it. I pulled her into a hug, though I could still feel the tension lingering. I'm sorry I got so worked up. But, I'm a man. I can't be left hungry. It's dangerous, I added, attempting to lighten the mood with a weak joke. We both laughed, and just like that, the argument fizzled out. But something had shifted, a crack in the trust I'd never questioned before. I trust Olivia. At least I want to. But after that night, the uneasy feeling didn't quite go away. And, unfortunately, things only got more complicated from there. Every Wednesday, like clockwork, Olivia would stroll in around midnight, sometimes a bit later, claiming she'd been out with her girlfriends. She said she felt restless at home, with the kids gone and nothing much to occupy her time. I got it. I really did. I only asked her for one thing, to let me know ahead of time. One evening, I noticed a stunning bouquet of roses sitting on the dining table. Olivia, where did these come from? I asked, puzzled. Oh, you won't believe it. Someone must have left them on the bench outside. I couldn't just leave them there. Poor flowers. Her voice cracked, and she looked like she might actually cry. I knew my wife had a soft heart, always moved by the smallest things. So, I believed her. Why wouldn't I? But after that day, flowers started showing up at our house more often. Roses, lilies, even exotic arrangements. Sometimes she said her friends gave them to her, other times our daughter, or, as she'd say with a laugh, another abandoned bouquet at the bench. I wanted to trust her, and honestly, I couldn't see a reason not to. She wasn't working, and she didn't have any male friends, at least none that I knew of. Then things started to shift. Olivia began pulling away from me. She'd avoid being close, always with an excuse. A headache here, a bad mood there. It stung. That's when the doubts started creeping in. One evening, she came to me, casual as ever. "Honey, I'm spending the night at Jenny's. We just need some girl time to relax." The unease in my chest wouldn't let up. Something didn't feel right, so I decided to check. First, I called Jenny. To my surprise, she said, "A sleepover." "No way. Olivia and I had a falling out a few days ago." I hung up, feeling my stomach twist. The hours dragged until Olivia came home. This time, I was ready. "Olivia," I said, keeping my voice steady, "I know everything. You and Jenny aren't on speaking terms. So, tell me, where were you?" Her face tightened, and for a moment, she looked like she might deny it. But then she sighed, her shoulders dropping as if she was tired of pretending. "All right, fine. No more secrets," she said quietly. "I've been seeing someone else. His name's Leo. He's younger, can you imagine? Only 30. She gave a bitter laugh. "George, I'm leaving. I'll pack my things tonight. We'll figure out the divorce later." And just like that, she was gone. I was left standing there, numb. My mind raced. How could she? After all these years, after everything I'd done for us. I'd worked myself into the ground to provide for our family, and this was how it ended? With some kid, no less. I tried to carry on, throwing myself into work, but Olivia's betrayal haunted me. She'd been my world for so long. I couldn't just let it go, not without knowing more. "Alex, hey." I called up an old buddy who knew everyone at my company. "Do you happen to have a young guy named Leon working there? Someone new and promising." Alex chuckled. "Leon? We've got plenty of those. You'll have to be more specific." I wasn't giving up that easily. My next call was to Jenny. She gave me more insight into their argument. Apparently, Leo had been the breaking point. Jenny had tried to talk sense into Olivia, reminding her of me, of the life we built together. But Olivia was defiant, declaring, "I love him. I can't help it." And that was it. Jenny didn't know much more, but it was enough to confirm what I'd feared. Olivia had moved on, and I was left to figure out what came next. After that, I called Lucy. "Hey, Lucy, you know anything about this guy my wife's been seeing?" "George, seriously, how can you not know by now? That kid works at Thomas's company." Honestly, I never thought Olivia had it in her, but I told her, "Leave that sucker already. He's young. He's got a whole life ahead of him." Her bluntness stung, but at least I was finally piecing things together. Next, I rang Thomas. We'd always had a solid friendship, lots of fishing trips and good talks. "Hey, Thomas, how's everything? Work treating you all right?" I started, trying to keep it casual. "Can't complain, George, though we haven't been fishing in forever. When are we fixing that?" He replied. "Soon, soon," I said, forcing a chuckle. "Actually, I've got a small favor to ask. Do you have a Leon working for you by any chance?" "Leon Leo." Thomas paused, thinking. "All right. Damn. I meant to tell you, but it slipped my mind. You won't believe this. I saw Olivia visiting that kid a few times. She'd bring him pies and homemade food of all things. And guess what? He's the one who gave her all those flowers." My stomach sank. "What's he like?" "Hard worker." Thomas snorted. "Hard worker? That boy's still wet behind the ears. Lazy as they come. I've been meaning to fire him for ages, but just never got around to it. After hanging up, I sat in silence, the bitter taste of humiliation gnawing at me. She traded me for that. A scrawny, unmotivated kid. What was she missing? I'd given her everything: money, a car, a home, our family. That night, I barely slept. The cold emptiness of the bed was unbearable. Morning came with a call from Thomas. "George, I've been thinking about you," he began. "My first wife pulled something similar, ran off with my best friend. Anyway, listen to this. I signed Leo's leave of absence. That guy's out." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Revenge has a strange aftertaste, bittersweet at best. Leo had been living it up, coasting on his paycheck and charm, dabbling in affairs with older women. And now, poof, gone. Less than a week later, I got word from Olivia's friends that she'd split with her boy toy. The young stallion, as they called him, had moved on to greener pastures. Apparently, Olivia had started losing interest before he did. Then, one evening, there she was, standing at my door. "George, I made a mistake," she said, tears streaming down her face as she dropped to her knees. He was young, passionate, swept me off my feet. "But I love you. Please take me back." I didn't waver. "No, Olivia, that's not how this works." I handed her the divorce papers. She tried everything to undo the damage, roping in our kids, her friends, even playing the victim in court. But I stood firm. At the trial, she sat silently, tears of regret streaming down her face, mourning what she'd lost. Time passed, and so did the pain. I moved on, eventually meeting a kind woman at work. We've built a life together, and we're even talking about marriage. As for Olivia, she faded into the background of my life. Word is, she lives with her parents now, scraping by on part-time jobs. It's hard not to feel a twinge of pity, but that's life. It moves on, even when you think it can't. If there's one thing this chapter taught me, it's that no matter how well you think you know someone, they can always surprise you. And sometimes those surprises cut deep.